What common sob stories do you have no sympathy for? Story 1. People that post on Facebook about how broke they are and then create a GoFundMe campaign because they want something they can't afford: a laptop, concert tickets, a whimsical trip of some kind. I've never seen one hit their goal, however low it may be. Story 2. This horrible thing happened to me. This person pet died, and it would help so much if I could get a drawing painting of my character from you for free. Happens way more than it should, and I don't believe any of it, even if it's not really my responsibility nor obligation to a person I've never talked to in my life. Story 3. I had a couple of girls from Doctors Without Borders knock on my door and explain they wanted money. I offered 20, and they said they can only accept $35 per month donations electronically. I said I was a student and couldn't afford that right now. They told me the children dying from disease couldn't afford their medicine. I told them to off with the guilt trip and closed my door. Story 4. Any sort of vague booking. I hate so much when people make Facebook posts like, well, I guess you can't trust your friends like you thought you could, or similar, with no explanation whatsoever about whatever the problem is. It doesn't make me want to ask what's wrong and give you attention, but it does make me want to block you. Story 5. Person who eats out every meal every day and poor. I have a friend that absolutely cannot handle her finances. One time she was going around the office asking people if she could have 5. She had revealed to me that her account balance was 7 cents or something. Not a big deal. It happens sometimes. Then later in the day, she told me she was using the 5 to go to the movie theater. She likes to go to a cheap dollar theater. It just seemed incredulous to me that she was panhandling at the place she works at. Not cause she needed to eat or bus fare to get home, but because she felt she was owed a movie theater experience. Story 6. The ones that ask for advice from everyone. Everyone tells them the same general thing. They do the complete opposite or completely skew off in a left field, and then come back sobbing about it not having gone the way they thought it would. You Carol, edit yes, they're called assholes. Thanks to everyone for reminding me there's a word for it. I have no food, man. I'm starving. What happened to your paycheck? It was 2-for-1 shots night at the bar last Friday. It was fun. Well, good luck with that whole starvation issue. I cheated on my partner because reason that insinuates it's the partner's fault. Not the cheater, as someone who cheated on their partner once before. It's all on you. Buddy, either fess up and try to fix things or leave. Story 7. People who always complain about being broke and having 5 to last until payday, yet every paycheck they're out blowing hundreds on new games, parties, or the bar. If you spend most of your income on booze, games, and parties, you lose the right to complain about always being broke and having a hard time making ends meet. Story 8. It's not exactly a sob story, but I work at Starbucks, and whenever I hear someone say something like I'm late for work, so hurry up, I just want to laugh out loud and punch them in the face at the same time. First off, if you want to stop for coffee before work, you leave early enough to make the time. Secondly, these people are basically walking into work at least 10 minutes late with a Vinny Caramel Macchiato in one hand and a cheese Danish in the other. I'm sure their employers are just thrilled with their work ethic. Story 9. I didn't study for the test or finish the assignments on time, and I failed my module, or really not being able to do something due to one's own bad time management and slacking off until too late. There's no correlation between the two. These things just happen because bad luck. I'm guilty of procrastinating too, often, but I will admit it's my fault instead of whining and moaning about it. Story 10. Individuals who whine about having no friends and then do nothing to fix glaring personality flaws that make people avoid them in the first place. Bonus points if they also have absurdly high standards for other people. People are not obligated to be your friend or date you just because you exist. Instead of complaining about how it's unfair that nobody wants to be around you, maybe do some self-reflection as to why that's the case in the first place. Story 11. But my children. If you had kids, you would understand why I can't work minor holidays, file my paperwork on time, give you a call if I'm going to miss a shift. Obviously ID, make exception for major emergencies. But no call, no showing on Memorial Day isn't the same as requesting the day off to spend Christmas with your kids. Sorry I don't have kids, but that doesn't make my time less important than yours. SDFU and file your paperwork on time, lest your children find themselves with unemployed parents. Plus, I've been trying to have kids for years now. ID kill to have those problems. Edit. First gold. Awesome. Also, I just want to say that while I do understand that familial obligations might sometimes affect a person's ability to work, everyone has an equal right to enjoy themselves and have a personal life outside of work. The problem isn't having kids or having obligations because of the kids. It's when people act like their obligations are more important than anyone else's just because kids are involved. Story 12. Rapists sob stories of, but I can't go to jail, prison. I have so many things going for me. This little mistake will ruin my life. What about the life of your victim? Didn't they have things going for them as well? Story 13, incels who blame women for their problems and refuse to look at what flaws they have, refuse to even approach women online or in person, people who blame their lack of employment on immigration. Story 14, I see these all the time on reality TV like American Idol and The Voice and America's Got Talent. There's always some sob story that is supposed to make you want to support the person more than their talent actually affords. Raised by single mom, grew up, poor parents, had to work hard, grew up in the project, someone close to them died of cancer, survived a horrible disease car wreck, rejected by peer group or insect for being gay, transic ID, be shocked if one or more of these didn't apply to anyone. It's almost as though everyone experiences hardship and or tragedy, but it only matters when people trying to be famous need to boost ratings for an episode. Story 15, I left my spouse and kids because I was unhappy, and now they take so much money in child support. I guarantee your ex is spending more of his or her paycheck on those kids in addition to all the time and energy and psychological support they're giving them since your lazy left. Story 16, criminals complaining about getting busted by the police for criminal behavior. It's one thing if you're actually being racially profiled, but nobody's taking your side if you get busted for selling crack, and you actually did it. Story 17, people who complain about their physique and then refuse doing anything to improve. I'm so fat and nobody find me attractive, but I love unhealthy food so much and I hate exercising. My life is so sad, and even worse if they continue with you or skinny, you can't understand. Do you know how much time, effort, and money I invest in being in shape? Michael Jackson said it best. If you can't feed the baby, then don't have a baby. Story 18, I've been having to ask for donations at work recently for a local food bank. After the transaction ID, ask if they would like to donate to their local food bank. If yes, I would ring them up for however much they want to 1 to 5. A lot of people are apparently really embarrassed that they don't donate to charity at their local Whole Foods knockoff. So I get a lot of excuses. I donated it yesterday. I donated this morning. I just sent them a check. My husband works for them. I donate elsewhere. I don't care why you're not donating today. All this is telling me that you're really concerned about how wholesome you appear to the teenage cashier. Just tell me no and be done with it. Story 19, I have a good friend who tends to be overdramatic with small things and say-do things that are extremely unreasonable as a result. Whenever I call her out on it, her response is always, the past few months have just been really hard for me. This started when we were 13. We're 25 now. Story 20, this kid on my FB who constantly complains about not being able to see his kids from several baby mamas and posts about selling drugs, fighting at bars, randoms, keeps having babies he can't afford or contribute to emotionally. 25, and has 4 to 5 kids with like 3 different women. Legally, he should be required to get fixed. Story 21, blaming the professor for failing grade. In cases where you didn't study, didn't work on assignments, didn't attend class, there's a good chance you didn't fail because the prof was too difficult. Story 22, some guy tried scamming me twice with the same sob story about how his car broke down and he needs to get to his finals. I fell for it the first time until he asked for more money than he initially stated. So I walked off. He tried using the same scenario on me again nearly a year later, so I was hoping he recognized me and was embarrassed. Edit spelling. Story 23, I was born with glass bones and paper skin. Every morning I break my legs, and every afternoon I break my arms. At night, I lie awake in agony until my heart attacks put me to sleep, like really bro. Man up. Story 24, people who cry poor, but they have things like the latest cell phone model, game consoles, high-end sneakers, and go out to eat all the time rather than stay home to cook. And when you point out how they're wasting money these ways, they get angry and say, what? Poor people aren't allowed to enjoy things. It's only for rich people. That's classist. No, it's called having priorities. No, you can't go to Comic-Con and buy a suitcase full of plushies, posters, and autographs, and expect me to feel sorry that you don't have enough money to pay for this month's rent. Take care of your basic needs first foremost. Yes, it sucks that you can't run around like Mr. and Mrs. Moneybags. I would love to jet off to Europe every weekend too for kicks and giggles. But I don't because I'd rather have food in my fridge and electricity. Story 25, conservatives who said that they voted for Trump and are shocked and pissed that he's either not done anything for them or can't believe that he's done thus far. Same thing goes for liberals who voted Trump because Bernie didn't get the nomination and now regret it. Story 26, when my kids were little, we used to watch their little cousins too, and then every so often we'd drop our kids with one of their aunts' uncles and have some time to ourselves. One night we had a date night and went to dinner and a movie downtown. In the parking garage, we get approached by a skeezy-looking woman in her late teens, early 20s. She asked for money. Her, can you spare $10? I need some diapers for my baby girl. Me, that's terrible. How old is your baby? What's her name? Her name's Chlamydia. She's 3 months old. My wife, where is she now? Is she someplace safe? Her, yeah. She's with her grandma, but grandma is on assistance. She don't have money for diapers. I think we can help you out. Just come over to the car. We walk back to the van, and I open the back. Inside is an array of diapers of every size to fit babies from 8 to 30 pounds. Me, here you go. Help yourself. Her fuck you, man. I want no diapers. And she stomps off. Edit chlamydia wasn't really the name she used, but my wife used to do the birth certificates at the local hospital, and one of the funniest stories she ever told was the one about the teen mom who wanted to name her any baby girl chlamydia because she thought it sounded pretty and the nurses trying to talk her out of it. Story 27, I'm not sure if this applies, but anything that gets stuffed down my throat, I don't mind donating money to organizations such as Save the Children, Red Cross, or Amnesty International, but I despise being spammed with mails afterwards filled with pictures of crying children just to get more money out of me. Story 28, my wife came out to me on our 5th wedding anniversary as trans and wishing to pursue becoming a man, much to my surprise, as a straight male, literally standing there holding flowers and a gift. And then I lost them to mental illness a year later when friends and family disowned them even though I stuck by to support them. I no longer have sympathy for common sob stories. Frankly, I don't even have sympathy for myself anymore. It's been all used up. The worst is running into old friends who hadn't seen me in years but were aware of what happened. They give me those wounded puppy eyes and ask me how I'm doing in that super sad "I'm so sorry for you" voice. Ugh. At least they care, I guess, but it's a punch in the gut to be out just having lunch and be visibly reminded that something is broken in me. Story 29, people who don't have any friends because they're a friend, but they complain about their lack of friends anyway. Similarly, people who are manipulative and abusive complaining about you telling people how manipulative and abusive they were because you'll make me look bad. No, you made you look bad. Story 30, people who live in tourist areas that hate tourists. College kids who whine about being on fixed-income student loans, but somehow afford large dogs to keep locked up miserably barking in their efficiency all day. People who complain endlessly about their job to customers while barely doing said job. Story 31, relationship drama in people over 25 with no kids. Keep it to yourself. Leave your boyfriend, girlfriend, or don't leave them. The stakes could not be lower. Story 32, most of the GoFundMe links on my Facebook. People who say they don't like their job, but do nothing to change the situation similarly. People complaining that immigrants have taken their job, or people who had careers in fields that have been inactive for decades. Don't blame other people because you're unemployable. Figure it out. Story 33, I lived with this stick of who knocked his girlfriend up, could barely keep a steady job, and was an alcoholic to the point where he would steal my beer no matter what rules were discussed while behind on rent. He would to me and everyone at the bar about how hard his life is, how everything was stacked against him. And everyone, in response, would offer him advice kindly. He would immediately come back with no, but it's not like that. 100 immediate rejection of any advice. Ever OMG, just shut up, you smelly gonorrhea dick cinnamon rim sucking rat. Jesus Christ, I'm not a violent person, but this guy made me so close to unleashing a fist full of on his rotten, Copenhagen-infested, trash-infested suckhole. That guy, when people try and drink my blood to gain my powers and get horrible ink poisoning. Story 34, I just don't know how you can live on less than 100K. Okay, Lil, depending on where you live, even 100K doesn't go far in the Bay Area, but stop buying useless you don't need. Start eating in more. Stop going to bars. Stop buying the latest fashion trends. So many people waste so much money and then wonder why they're barely scraping by at the end of the month. Story 35, people who deliberately make offensive and controversial evocative statements and then complain about the backlash. I said all Trump supporters deserve to die, and now I'm getting death threats. I made a blatantly racist comment, and now everyone's bullying me by calling me a racist. Story 36, I'm 21, and a lot of my peers enjoy getting blasted on weekends, going to music festivals, and all this other than have the nerve to complain about the little amount of money in their bank accounts. Like, I don't know what you want me to tell you. Stop wasting your money on dumb. Story 37, people that get their kids taken away because they're on drugs. As a child of parents who are addicts, I don't feel bad for you. Maybe don't be a junkie and get your life together. Story 38, parents who plan on having kids, had said kids, and then and moan because they don't have the free time and money that I do. An unplanned pregnancy and some religious convictions are one thing, but planning to have a family and then being saddened by the fact your every waking hour is devoted to them, I don't care to hear. On the same topic, people who whine and complain about how difficult raising kids is on Facebook or what have you, I don't give a single solitary you made your bed. Now sleep in it. Story 39, people telling me they wish they could be my age so they can travel the world as much as possible before settling down and starting a family, and that I should too. Story 40. I dislike people who post a GoFundMe page or something similar asking for money because I want to marry my GF and give her a great big wedding ring, or we want to have kids, but can't afford any clothes, furniture, or baby food if you can't afford it. Don't expect other people to pay for it. Story 41 may sound harsh, but I have little sympathy for people who constantly talk about their oppression by society based on immutable characteristics, skin color, gender, orientation, as it accomplishes nothing except validates their own internal feelings of inferiority. Specific incidents is one thing, but constant complaining about it. My refrain lately is simply sucks to be you. Story 42. Any drama king-queen who constantly involves themselves in drama, continuously complains about drama, and also inevitably says things like, I can't wait until I leave Persanjab High School, whatever. There's just too much drama. It's them. They're the drama. Story 43. I saw a FB rant from a friend who does one of the shitty MLM deals saying, if your friend sells Pampered Chef, buy from them. If your friend sells Posh, buy from them. If your friend sells Mary Kay, Avon, Lip Sense, LuLaRoe, or It Works, buy from them. Real friends support their friends. If you've never bought something from one of your friends who sells a product, you're not a true friend. Nah. I don't know you my business if you have nothing I want to buy. Story 44. Not following though on established plans due to not taking care of your own personal daily needs. Oh, I'm sorry I can't hang out tonight like we planned because I was too lazy yesterday and didn't do all the things I needed to do to hang out. Story 45. My internet connection was being spotty when I tried to submit my paper, and that is why it is late, and don't submit it at the last minute. You won't have this problem. It's late, you lose 10, deal with it. Story 46. 18 yos in my day fought in a war, while 18 yos today cry about insert some social issue, said almost exclusively by non-veterans or people who never fought in any war. War isn't a thing to be proud about. Neither is fighting in one. I'd personally rather the next generation be peaceful than fighting another war, because war is shitty. Plus there are 18 yos all over the world's hostile areas. There are at least a few thousand in Seoul, where nuclear annihilation is a legitimate concern. I've met 19 years old who had night terrors due to things they've seen in service, whether it was an IED that killed their best friend or a mistake they made that ended with a kid dead because of it. Edit for clarification. In not saying servicemen and women should be ashamed of what they have done unless they have done something very shameful. While serving, there is a difference in being proud you have served your country and being proud you got a chance to kill someone far, far away. The argument is just shitty, and almost always abusing someone else's work to dismiss an argument you disagree with. It's like me saying 100 years ago, old people were burying their kids who died of tuberculosis, while old people today about their expired coupons. Story 47. I did something nice for insert family member with either a mental or physical disability. Sure, it's cool that you did that, but by posting it on Reddit or Facebook or whatever, you automatically devalue your actions. Story 48. I know someone who gets fired every couple of years for sticky fingers and a terrible attitude, and it winds up my punching arm whenever I hear him complain about not being able to find a job. You're probably blacklisted, dude, and your extreme workaholism is not going to balance it out. Story 49. If the person who was drinking and driving dies, it was their own choice to get into that vehicle. They could have gotten someone to drive them home or prearrange someone to pick them up, but not only did you put your own life at risk, but potentially a lot of other people's lives. They'll feel sympathy for the people the drunk driver killed, but not the drunk driver themselves. Story 50. Men who cry over having to pay child support. Sorry, bro, but you choose not to wear a condom and take a risk, no matter what anyone said. You willingly took that risk. Now it leads to a pregnancy and a kid that needs raising 247, closed food toy shelf with homework, etc., which most of these lazy don't even try to do. They just pay a small sum based on income, so it's fair to never have to deal with the mess they made while the other parent has no choice but got to spend time money on the kid or get reported to social services. While I think America needs some feminism, so men who are get an equal right to be a dad solo parent, that doesn't excuse paying child support is and always will be the easy way out. Source lawyer in custody cases. Seen way too many up dads. Story 51. Woman chooses to have a baby with a guy knowing while he has multiple kids he refuses to support. Somehow she is shocked and outraged when he isn't interested in parenting her kid. Many angry Facebook posts ensue. Dude won't even make the minimal legally required effort with his first 5 kids. Why would he be any different for number 6? Story 52. When someone tells me how stressful and expensive it is to plan a wedding, I've had a couple friends kind of feel forced to have a big wedding because it's what their parents' family want and expect, and that I can sympathize with. But when you know that it's the couple's choice to throw some lavish party, And when you ask someone how wedding planning is going, and they whip out their wedding planning binder in the middle of lunch and come at you with OMG CJ, there's just so much TO do. I just shut down. At that point, it isn't even about the couple anymore. Go to the courthouse if it's going to consume that much of your time and stress you out. Having a big wedding isn't your only option. Edit typos. Story 53, this is really specific to my workplace, but I work with a bunch of single moms that expect me to pick up their shifts and work every Friday night because I want to take my kid to do X, and you're the only person without kids. It worked the first few times until I check Snap and Insta, and they're all at wineries and bars, and the kids are home with their grandparents. Story 54, my mother has one sob story when complaining about my dad. A year after they divorced, she asked him for a bag of groceries. When she's mad, she never shuts up about how he said no. I think at the time he had just gotten laid off and was looking for a job. Story 55, not a sob story, but situation. I usually saw him a few times a week. He was pretty funny and we made basic small talk. I bought this homeless guy a bag stuff with McDonald's, like just stacked 2 McDoubles, 2 MC chickens, a fry, and chicken nuggets, because it was starting to get cold. And I was like, screw it. They'll go make this guy's night. He literally said, I don't want food. I need money. I was like, dude, I legit bought this whole bag for you. Continues to say that's all people offer and blah, blah, blah. So I was like, oh, my man, I got a fat joint rolled. So Emma, go roast that down and have 2 NDS. Iqua came out of his drunken mouth after that, but I didn't even bat an eye when I saw him anymore. Like, I'm already a broke college student, and I basically gave you the shirt off my back. F you. Story 56, I taught English in South Korea for a year, and while I was there, I saw a white couple sitting on a blanket with some handmade bracelets and in a cardboard sign that said, help us travel the world. I just couldn't help but think how selfish of them to expect others to pay for their vacation and to beg not even a block away from a real homeless man who was missing his legs, head to the ground prostrating himself. The stark difference in privilege and in the way they viewed begging was appalling. Story 57, back when I commonly dealt with shoplifters firsthand, I would often get people crying and saying that they were poor, broke, etc. I legitimately felt bad, and we kept a small fund in the office to buy people food if that's what they took. But when you're in your teens or 20s and you're stealing 300 in makeup or Pokemon cards, I'm not buying it. Story 58, I'm moving and camper my dog. Like, unless you were getting deployed or something, why didn't you find a place that allows your dog? People who get animals when they can't even take care of themselves me off to no end. Story 59, addiction is I'm a recovering alcoholic. I hate the sob stories from the people who use the word disease as some sort of free pass or explanation to their problems, then do absolutely nothing about it. Get off your and fight that. Stop using disease as a pity word. My older brother cheated on his wife of 13 years. She left him and took the kids. I talked to him this last weekend about it for the first time. He was crying and telling me about how he was so unhappy and how the military made him do it. He is in the Navy. Nice try, dude. Seriously, I don't feel bad for him at all. I have no sympathy for cheaters. Story 60, homeless people who are clearly druggies asking for cash, then start up with some story about how difficult things were. No, you started doing drugs and lost your life and not going to give you $1 so you could get some more smack. I've spent 27 years not doing hard drugs because I don't want to end up like you. We made choices. Seems harsh, but I deliver beer in bars and restaurants, so I get approached by homeless people all the time. There's an assumption we're rich and have the ability to give away free beer to people addicted to beer, and when you say no, that's when it gets messy sometimes. Story 61, people who go on and on about their college debt after choosing to pursue majors that could have been done at other, more affordable and comparable schools. I know college education is crazy expensive, and I know loans are inevitable for many, but there are some people who chose to put themselves in crazy debt when they didn't need to. I don't want to hear from those people about how unfair it is when they had chances to avoid it. Story 62, my metabolism is too slow to lose weight. Barring some extreme medical disorder, losing weight is a math problem. Keep track of your caloric intake and keep it below the amount your body naturally burns day to day and maintain that rhetoric consistently over time. That's all. You don't even need extreme precision or accuracy unless you are very near your goal weight, say within 15 pounds or less. Get a food scale to help with cooking at home, and if you eat out, occasionally estimate calories the best you can. Story 63, any nice guy sob story about how he's such a good guy, but girls only want who don't treat them right. Every self-proclaimed nice guy I've ever had the displeasure of meeting has been a raging when rejected. Dealt with one particular nice guy who really didn't like the words "I'm not interested," going so far as to send me drunken paragraphs about how he'd kill himself if I didn't cheat on my partner with him and how unfair it was that I love you, but you're stuck with that. Nice guy still thought he was a nice guy when he groped me at a party and forced himself on me. I'm no longer in contact with him. That was his close friend, BTW, and the love of my life. Guys like that never cease to amaze me with their mental gymnastics. Story 64 people that bring their kids to the side of the street with them. I used to be homeless for a short while after high school, and I tell you half of the people brought their kids with them to the street, and most of them say they have a house. Story 65 people who get DUIs. Maybe it's just people I know, but I know 3 people who have gotten them. 2 of those people have gotten more than one, and they always have excuse as to why. I will never feel bad for you. You put other people's lives at risk just being stupid. No. Story 66, all my kids have abandoned me. If 1 or 2 of your children are estranged, it may be them. If all your kids don't want to talk to you, the kids aren't the problem. Story 67, people who complain about things they have total control over. OMG, I'm so fat. Okay, well, I've tried going to the gym and eating right. You haven't? Maybe you should start there. My hurts. Have you tried rest? Ice and Advil. Have you seen a doctor? I can't stand when people complain about things that they have the ability to change but are too lazy to do anything about it. Story 68, people who complain about having no money but have a multiple pack-a-day smoking habit. I knew someone who always complained about being broke, but they were spending $400 to $500 a month on cigarettes. Story 69, every now and then I hear people complain about doing poorly in some class. They talk about it, and it turns out the reason why they got an F was because they skipped most classes, all tutorials, submitted assignments late, if at all, and did horrible on the tests. Story 70, I have a self-DxD mental illness. I cannot help but beat and abuse my boyfriend-girlfriend dramatic partner. Pity me. So comment on the likes of Tumblr and Twitter. Hey, I have a mental illness, mine officially diagnosed, but it doesn't absolve me of any consequences of my actions. It is no excuse. Story 71, when someone is so head over heels in love with a presidential candidate like Trump, Hillary, or Bernie, they whine like a little about anything that triggers them. Like, man, dude, when your life is so out of your control, out of your hands, that you actually have to rely on who the president is, it's extremely difficult for me to even feel sorry for you, Sage. Story 72, people who complain about doing poorly on a test or assignment, but also brag about how they stayed up watching Netflix the night before, or didn't want to study. Story 73, I used to be considered a genius as a child because I was in the gifted program. Then I got older and realized I actually needed to develop legitimate study skills and a work ethic to get ahead in school and my career, but I'm literally just too lazy to develop these skills. So woe is me. That's probably hyper-specific, but it's become such a popular self-pitying circle jerk on Twitter, Tumblr, etc. in recent times. I really don't get the logic. I didn't have to try as a kid because everything was easy then, but now I have to try a little bit. But since I didn't have to try before, I just don't feel like it. But also I'm going to whine about this easily fixable problem for eternity. Just force yourself to study for like Econ 302 or whatever for a couple of hours, goodness. I also went through the crisis of I never had to apply myself as a kid, but now things are really hard at one point. I just learned how to study and developed a work ethic, which is doable if you care enough to not just sit around crying about how you can't accomplish anything, because you don't care enough. Story 74, I can't lose weight. Yes, you can. It's just a little inconvenient. I lost 25 pounds basically by stopping gorging myself on stupid food. And if I can do it, anyone can. Story 75, OMG. I can't believe that I got a ticket from that officer for going 50 in a 25. WTF, cops? WTF are you on? Why are you flooring that so fast? No sympathy ever because it's 99 your fault every time. I built my house on a volcano and lava destroyed it. Go fund me. Story 76, any clearly bullshit reason to panhandle money off of me. Dude, you're out here most days. I've heard everything from stranded and need a bus ticket to get back to Chicago till I have to take this heart medication, see. But I'm short 20. It might sound callous, but the way I look at it is this: if you have honestly screwed yourself and others so often that there is literally nobody in your life that you can contact for a few bucks, then you're not somebody you want to help out. And since this is obviously a BS sob story, I'm not giving you squat. Story 77, student debt from a liberal arts degree. People thought I was stupid for joining the military as a teen, but you know what? It made me not have to take on thousands of dollars in loans, so I didn't know how I would be able to pay it back later on. So whatever. Maybe I'm still the stupid one. But then what does that make those who call me stupid who are now in teens of thousands of dollars in debt for a worthless degree? Story 78, people who are obese or overweight and are funding to find a new doctor because all of their old ones were fat-phobic. Anyone who complains of medical fat phobia in general, you're not being discriminated against. You are damaging your health, and you continue to stick your head in the sand over it. Story 79, unpopular opinion time. I'm fat because of XYZ. It's not my fault. It is. The sooner you accept it, The sooner you can change your situation, people grossly underestimate how much they graze throughout the day, how unhealthy many small snacks are, and how poorly balanced their diets are. They try to blame genetics, hormones, birth control, inability to exercise, anything. Any of those things can make weight loss harder, but none of them actually cause you to defy physics and gain mass despite not eating. It's calories in versus calories out. You can play metabolic games like low-carb keto diets, and many of them do work. But in the end, much of the reason those diets work is because you end up paying closer attention to what you eat and drink if you continually gain weight. It's because you're putting too much fuel in the system. Story 80, when people are dumb in front of police and then cry about how they ended up arrested or they shot their dogs or whatever. In Munich, a woman had her dog without a leash or muzzle in her car. The dog jumps out, bites 3 different people. Police arrives, she tries to hold her dog, but fails to, and the dog runs loose and bites 2 policemen. Policemen kill the dog. She posts the video of it on Facebook and says my dog wasn't a monster. No, the dog wasn't a monster, but when a dog acts aggressively towards strangers and you didn't tie the dog to a leash, I would do the same as policemen, or at least kick the dog away from me. I got bitten from a dog as a child in my upper arm, still have the scar, or even suffocated, just for my own protection. It's so dumb to think you're entitled to do whatever you want with a Rottweiler in Germany at a crowded train station in Munich. Jesus.